Hello, hello. We are just going to wait a moment here. I'll give people about a minute to hop on, and then we're just going to get right into everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, hi, hello. That reminds me of
Hey.
Kate. Kate does that all the time.
Yeah,
Hi, hello. I love it. Mm-hmm. So we're here for the official Masterclass training, which, Jennifer's on. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Thanks for hopping on. And I just mentioned that we're going to get started here in about another 30 seconds. We're going to give people about a minute to pop on. Mm-hmm. And because we want to also respect people's time who are on here. So we're excited for this. Bum, bum, bum.
Tell them about your hair or something. Can you tell we're twins?
Yeah, we are plaid
We
twins.
did not plan this, but.
And I was officially able to put my hair in a bun today. This is success, you guys. This is success. This is about the extent of happiness right now. Yeah. As my husband said, it took courage. Well, with it being on top of my head, it is courageous. Anyways, so you guys are here for one reason. Jennifer, love it. So you guys are here for the official masterclass. So first off, I want to say hello. My name is Kara Ray.
Gina Bell.
And we're excited to bring you the official masterclass. So this is The Heart of Courage, 4 Secrets to Building Bravery and Getting Out of Your Own Damn Way. And so we are going to be playing, just kidding you guys, we are going to be sharing our 4 secrets that we believe play a key factor in building bravery. And these really are the heart of courage. So if you really take note and start taking action to these 4 secrets that we're gonna, share with you, this will lead you out of your own damn way. Honestly, this is foolproof. This is some incredible information. We're excited to bring it to you. But we also believe, because behind every successful woman is herself. As I know Gina said that in the last training that we did. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for coming on. And so we're excited to be bringing you this one-of-a-kind training. So we really dove in and took some time to bring this together and formulate something that we thought would be aligned with not only the training that, like the program that we're doing, What Would Courage Do, but also that would feel aligned with this and really coincide together. And so this is why we created this. We spent a lot of time brainstorming, making sure the content was truly geared towards the women who are, interested in the program, the women we want to attract, but also women who just really want to get out of their own damn way. Because don't we all? And haven't we all been in our own damn way?
Yep.
So as we're going along, please feel free to ask questions and throughout the live. And so at the end of the masterclass, we'll open up a short Q&A. And we will also be discussing some details about the program, What Would Courage Do? So make sure you stay tuned to the end, because that's when we'll be discussing a few more key pieces to this. And if you're catching the replay, like I said earlier, please feel free to continue like you're watching this live, ask your questions, and I promise you we will get to them as soon as possible. But those who are live and those who are watching live, if you do have any questions at the end, we will come and take a look, and we will open up space for that. And so just as our heart has 4 chambers, we believe there are 4 factors to building a heart of courage. So we made that, you guys. That's our quote. And so the 4 topics that we're going to be discussing are self-trust, self-honesty, self-belief, and self-compassion. So I want to thank you all for spending your time with us. We appreciate you, honor you, and we're just going to dive right in. And so we were doing yours right way. Self-trust. Mine?
Go, Kara, go.
Just kidding. I'm up, guys. It has been a day, but I'm excited to come in here and chat with you about self-trust. And then later on, you're going to hear from me, and I'll talk about self-comparison. And so self-compassion. I did this all day today. I'm sitting here talking with Gina. I'm like, self-comparison. Just kidding. It's not. Anyways, you guys, this is
live.
Yeah, this is live. This is real life. This is why we do this. And so self-trust. So honestly, what is the definition of trust? Do you know what it is to trust, or do you know actually what trust is? And so the definition of trust is it's a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, and strength of someone or something. So it doesn't directly have to be someone, But when we're talking about this in here, we are really referring it to yourself. So like trusting yourself. And so I want to ask you this one question, and I want you to answer it quickly. So the question is can you trust yourself or not? Now, I don't want you to think about it. And if it takes you a moment that you have to think about it, then you don't trust yourself. You hesitate and you second guess and you overthink. And so we're going to dive deeper into how to really tap into trust yourself and all the other key pieces that we'll be discussing. And so I want to ask you this too. Have you ever hesitated on something you know in your gut you truly want to do, but you sit back and play with it until, you know, you've convinced yourself it's a no? So this is also another example of simply distrusting yourself. And so I see Jennifer says sometimes, hey, we're human. Okay, so first off, there's moments where I don't trust myself. Terry, yes. Hi, Terry. Thanks for coming on. Hello. And so now I want to talk about how do we build trust. So this is important. So we're talking about trust and you're like, okay, how do we build this? How do we do this? And so honestly, this is really simple, you guys. This is really simple. You just start. But now I want to ask you this. Have you ever heard of the saying, you know, trust your intuition, or another version of saying it, trust your gut? So my husband actually made a really great quote today and a really great point that it's called intuition, not outtuition. And I had to add this in here. He's standing there and he's smiling and he's like, yes, you added that in there. But it's true. And if you guys can relate, let me know. Hi, Kayla. Thanks for joining us. And so do you ever get this feeling of like hell yes or hell no? You're standing somewhere and say somebody asks you, hey, do you want to come out and do this with me? And you're like, no. But then you say yes anyways. Or have you ever had a moment where you feel like, hell yes, I'm going to do this, because someone says, hey, do you want to go to this retreat with me? Do you want to do this with me? And you're like, yes. This is what I'm talking about in regards to, she's giggling at me. This is what I'm talking about in regards to your intuition. It's that gut nudge. It's that first instinct of yes or no. And now some people aren't fully in tune with their intuition. And yes, this takes time, and it takes time to build self-trust. But trust me, if you start leaning into it every day, if you start working at it every day, you will start to build what we call, your courage muscle. And one of those key factors, one of those chambers of self is self-trust. And so you just have to start applying it every day. Start tuning in, start listening, and start applying and really following what you truly want to do. This is very simple. It's not complicated. You just have to start listening to yourself, not to what anybody else is telling you to do or what you should do, because everybody likes to tell you all their things and all their, ideals. And actually I put in here too that, we live in a society that, has taught us to overthink everything between our finances, our circumstances, if it's the right time, if we should be saying yes to ourselves. But I just want to say, if you're not going to say yes to yourself, like, you are only guaranteed today. You are not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not. I want to say that we're guaranteed forever, but the truth is we're not. So if one day you were given this opportunity and you turned it down, and then the next day something happened, would you regret it? And most of you would say yes, because there's been times in my life where I have been given an opportunity and I said no out of fear of judgment, and I chose not to do anything. So I don't want anybody to live in that state, because that is not a fun state. That's not a thriving state. That's not a state that I want to be in. And so I've learned to trust myself. And so this is one of the last key points I want to talk about, is that trust is also given and received in many different ways. So we actually created an acronym for BRAVE, which is, I think it's kind of cute. So B stands for beliefs. R stands for reliability and responsibility. A stands for accountability. V stands for your values and boundaries. And E stands for esteem. And so I have questions for you that I would like you to write down. And at the end of this, you can pause this and you can come back, but I will say them and then I will repeat them again, and then I'm going to hand it over to Gina. And so the first question I have for you in regards to self-trust is, do you know your boundaries and what you value most? This is huge. I've talked about this before in the community about values and boundaries, and how as a woman, this is truly, truly important. So the first question was, do you know your boundaries and what you value most? Question number 2, are you a reliable person? Can others rely on you? Can they count on you? Can you rely on yourself to show up for yourself? So question 2, are you a reliable person? Question number 3, are you accountable for the things that you say and do? So this is also kind of similar to being reliable. You know, if you're telling somebody that you're going to show up, you're going to be accountable, but that also, you know, builds reliability. And now, so question 3, are you accountable for the things you say and do? And question number 4, can others rely on you? This is important. So I really want you to take a moment and journal out your current relationship with trust. I really want you to get so clear on what that is. And if you feel like you don't trust yourself, be honest with yourself and really ask yourself why. And then also, if you do, let's get clear and let's celebrate the fact that you do, because that's amazing and not everybody is there.
Yeah.
And so that's what I have for you guys in regards to self-trust. And, you know, take some, leave the rest. I'm going to hand it over to Gina, and then I'll be back at the end for self-compassion. I said it right this time.
Yes.
And so, Gina?
Awesome. Thanks. That was a really good segue, because your point about self-honesty is, that's what I'm going to be talking about, is honesty. But what I want you guys to notice is that these 4 facets, or this heart of courage, these 4 chambers, like our human heart, this is like creating your own personal compass. It is like having your own personal North Star. When you have these areas working for you, you can navigate your way to success no matter what life throws at you, or no matter what the business world, you know, what circumstances lay in front of you, you'll be able to navigate your way. So let's talk about self-honesty. So when you think about your boldest, biggest goal, the one that lights you up, the one that keeps you up at night, the one that you're basically obsessed with, why haven't you achieved it yet? And I remember when I was faced with this exact question, and I really didn't like the answer. Because the whole reason why we are doing this free training, and the entire reason why we created What Would Courage Do, the program, is because, as well, you know, entrepreneurs, I think we face riskier situations all the time, just by the very nature of entrepreneurship, but we're in our own way a lot, right? At least if you have big goals. And Kara and I work with high achievers, so we know that the women we attract are the ones that are often bumping up against those doubts and uncertainty and fears. And that is what the entire program really dives deep into, is this courageous toolkit. But first, you need to understand where you need to show up, having this heart of courage. So again, why haven't you achieved it yet? And the sting of that question, that might be a little bit raw, it was definitely painful for me too, but consider this. I'm going to just share a quote. If we hope to go anywhere or develop ourselves in any way, we can only step from where we are standing. If we don't really know where we are standing, we may only go in circles. And I have used that expression, I feel like I'm going in circles, so many times as an entrepreneur, in conversations with my accountability partners, in conversations during masterminds, in conversations with coaches. I feel like I'm spinning in circles, because there is this, you know, the indecision and the doubt, and all of these things have you spinning and unable to move forward. So if you've ever felt stuck like that, just know, first of all, you're not alone. And I totally get it. It's super frustrating. But the fact of the matter is, you are here, like it or not. And I wish it's too bad we're not doing a screen sharing type training. It's okay. I'll try to find the image and post it in the feed. I have this, it's like a road sign, and it says you are here, and then in small print it says like it or not. And that's the truth of it, right? Like, sometimes we don't like where we are, but that's the only place where we can start from. So what I'd love for you to notice is that this question, why aren't you where you want to be yet? Or why haven't you achieved that big, crazy goal, that one that you obsess over? Why haven't you achieved that yet? It's steeped in personal responsibility, which is part of that BRAVE acronym that Kara shared, which is, begins with self-trust. But self-deception is often that knee-jerk reaction where that happens when we're not seeing the results that we really want. How does self-deception show up? Judgment, self-judgment, right? We are really hard on ourselves. Blame, we might be deflecting what is going on, or making excuses. And if any of that sounds familiar, feel free to share in the comments, raise your hand, say, I totally get it, I've been there. This is a safe place because I've certainly been there. I can raise my hand many, many times on all of those things, the judgment, the blame, the excuses. And these deflections, and the reason we do that, the reason that human beings are naturally self-deceptive is because initially in the moment it feels good. We don't want to take we don't necessarily want to take responsibility. We don't want to accept the fact that the reason that we're not getting the results that we want is because we're not taking actions to get the results that we want. We don't want to own up to that necessarily, right? But the problem with being self-deceptive is it stops us from making taking new and positive actions to get the results that we want, because nothing changes if nothing changes, right? We know this. So if you'd like to know the best ways to develop self-honesty, my best advice is become a curious observer, self-observer. Get really curious. Ask yourself, or just observe from that place of, isn't that interesting? Without the blame, without the self-judgment, but isn't that interesting? And when you're able to be that self-observer, it puts you in a very powerful place of being able to move out of that without the judgment. If you want to go even deeper, what are the thoughts and beliefs that hold you back from taking the actions you know you need to be taking? What are the thoughts and beliefs that are holding you back? So, and again, during the program, What Would Courage Do? We are going to dive deep. We have some take action challenges planned for these 4 facets of courage to help you go from having a conversation with us and that self-exploration to actually activating, implementing, taking action to strengthen not just courage, because our Courageous Toolkit is going to guide you through 10 lessons to really get out of your own way, tackling things like the comparison trap. Kara keeps wanting to talk about comparison.
Obviously, it's on my heart, you guys, because I keep talking about it.
And we will definitely talk about that. But we will dive deeper. But for now, again, being self-deceptive prevents you from taking new and positive actions. But get curious about why these things are happening, and even go deeper, like I said, to investigate the thoughts and the feelings and the beliefs that are at the core. One of the things that we'll be doing inside of What Would Courage Do is I'm basically rolling one of my best-selling programs into What Would Courage Do, and it's the Believability Makeover. It's a 5-step system to getting out of your way, but to really building up new beliefs that support your success. I'm really excited to be able to share that inside of that program. So speaking of belief and self-belief, self-belief is actually secret number 3, which I'm going to continue with. So self-belief is that positive feeling that you have inside of you that you're capable of anything. It's that, the superhero pose, that feeling of, invincibility. You feel empowered and confident and capable in the face of challenges and problems. And I hope that as Kara and I are talking, you're starting to see that having self-trust, being honest with yourself, building up self-belief, I hope you can just feel the energy of that and how that is going to make you a more courageous woman. And when you are more courageous, you are going to achieve your goals, bigger goals, faster, which is super exciting. So anyone that has negative self-belief probably has let a lot of things slip by. There's a lot of things that are unfinished. How many things have you let slip by? I know that I've talked myself out of really good ideas because of a lack of belief in myself, right? So limiting beliefs aside, we will cover that inside of what would courage do, but just self-belief in general. It's like, who is it? That if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Ford, right?
Yep.
Said that. And it really is true. Doubts, like, can I really do this? Other people would be better suited to doing this. Other people are already doing this. I've definitely talked myself out of good ideas because other people were having similar conversations. Maybe you're worried about what other people will be thinking about what it is that you have to say. Maybe you think that you don't deserve what is wrapped up in getting the results that you really want to have. And at the end of the day, no matter what it is that you think, you're right, because you'll always and only get the job or the paycheck or the clients or the lifestyle that you believe you deserve. That's why this is so important. This is such an important conversation. And more so, it's important to know how to start to build new beliefs that support your success. So if you find yourself feeling doubtful, I have four things I'm going to share with you to help you to start shoring up self-belief and in your toolkit to really start to strengthen bravery as an entrepreneur. So the first thing is start with why. Most of us, if we're entrepreneurs, we've heard of the book Start With Why, right? Simon Sinek. But I really believe this is one of my core statements. If you've been part of my world for any length of time or on any of my social profiles or my websites, you've probably heard this phrase. When women navigate their true desires, radical shifts happen, lifestyles are elevated, and ripple effects of possibility influence everyone they touch. I really believe that. Your desires, not somebody else's, not what it looks like for somebody else because you want it to, but your desires, that why that fuels what you do, why you do it, who you do it for. It's a powerful force that you can leverage to build conviction, that inner knowing that your plan is not just a possibility, but it is inevitable. That is, if we were to sum up the promise of what would courage do, it is to help you develop unshakable certainty in your ability to achieve your goals. That's our promise. That's our promise of that program. So you really need to get clear about what it is that you really want and why. It starts with why, but your desires are the key. The next thing I want you to do is start to gather evidence of your ability to succeed. If you want to further self-belief, start taking inventory of your ability to be successful. Take inventory of your past achievements. A lot of us, the high achievers, we are on to the next thing before we have acknowledged the thing that we just accomplished. I'm very guilty of that. I have awards and all sorts of things sitting in boxes because yes, it's for me, it's the journey, right? It's the doing, it's the achieving. I'm internally driven. And so I had to stop and do this for myself, take inventory of what I've already achieved. And I'm telling you, I've achieved a lot as an entrepreneur. And when I started to journal this and I started to really acknowledge and go back through my entrepreneurial history, it was really actually incredible what I've done. And I really was not giving myself credit for that. But I can tell you I am now. And it makes a world of difference knowing what I have already done. Just that knowing helps me to have a lot more conviction and passion about the work that I'm doing next. There's always something next, right? So begin to see yourself as what Kara and I call a victress. A woman who doesn't just try, but who triumphs. All right, number 3 is challenge assumptions that you're making. Anytime self-doubt pops up, challenge the assumptions that you're making about yourself, about the situation, right? Be that curious observer like we were talking about earlier. Reference the inventory that you took of your achievements. And if needed, gather external examples of what is possible in the realm of what it is that you are wanting to do. But the warning here, the caveat is to be careful when you start to look outside of yourself for these examples of success. You could slide down the comparison trap, but don't worry, we're going to cover how to get out of that and how to steer clear of that. It's part of the Courageous Toolkit. But in the meantime, just know that is a possibility when you are taking inventory. that is outside of yourself. But if you need to, maybe you're a new entrepreneur, maybe you really need to look outside of yourself for what is possible. It's great to do that, but make sure that you're not compare and despair, or talking yourself out of good ideas because, oh, you know what, someone's already doing that. Well, I can guarantee you that many people are talking about courage and bravery. There are best-selling authors that are talking about this, and yet so are we.
Yep.
Okay. Last thing that I have for you on self-belief and how to shore that up for yourself is to surround yourself with people who believe in you. Sometimes you need to borrow the belief of others. You need to borrow the belief that other people have of you. So think about who's already in your corner and make a very specific plan to spend some time with them. If they do not live near you, make a plan to hop on a Zoom or a messenger chat. Be part of Facebook groups, be part of programs and masterminds, but surround yourself with people who already believe in what you do. All right, with that, I'm going to have Kara talk about self-compassion, which is the fourth piece of this heart of courage.
Okay, so thank you for everything that you talked about, everything that you were going on, because I have, there's one piece that I'm going to dive a little bit into as well. And so I'm excited about it. And so I am now talking about self-compassion. There's one of the neighbor's boys is at the door, so he probably won't go, which is so cute. My husband just left, but he may knock on the door a few times. He's very adamant about wanting to play with my stepdaughter, but she's not here until tomorrow. Anyways, you guys, so self-compassion. So this is a quote, and I really wanted to start with this, is having compassion for yourself means that you honor and accept your humanness. So at the start of your day and at the end of your day, you're human. Mm-hmm. And you need to honor the fact that you are human. And I'm going to dive deeper into that throughout what I'm talking about here. But are you compassionate towards your dreams, your aspirations, and your goals? Now, what I mean by are you compassionate about that is I mean, like, do you give yourself the love, the grace, and the nurturing that it takes to achieve, X, Y, Z, those goals, your aspirations, your dreams? Do you give yourself the love and compassion to do so? Because to achieve any of your goals, it requires a lot of patience, a lot of love, a lot of compassion, and mainly self-compassion. And so so this is also a big one too, do you also give yourself compassion when you miss a goal date or even when you fail? There's this dreaded idea that if we fail, we should never do it again. I don't know how many times I have heard people just like, well, I failed. I can't do it. No. I firmly believe that if you failed at something, there was something that you needed to learn before you could become successful in that area. I couldn't tell you how many times I have failed at certain things, but still followed through and learned a great deal of things from it. You guys, I have had program launches that have flopped. But I still followed through with them. I still followed through with the trainings. I still showed up because that is who I want to be. That's what I want, my clients, women that I'm teaching, I want them to show up for themselves. But I also had to have compassion for my failure. I don't think, honestly, and I love that you're my mom because you probably can account to this, but I don't think there's ever been a point where I've ever been like terrified of failing. I was never, a child who failed at a ton of things or as an adult, but when it did happen, it took me like a ton of bricks, but I've learned so much from it. And so what I'm going to share is I'm going to share with you some tips or secrets that I believe are extremely helpful in regards to self-compassion. And so the first one that I have for you is I want you to let go of the need to control. Oh my goodness, is this a big one? I will talk about this. What?
I love that Kara's talking about.
Oh, yeah, but see, everything, like I'll talk about this too because it honestly relates to this program.
It's great because she has lived this.
I have lived this through, my entrepreneurship, through myself as a mom, through myself as a stepmother, through as a wife, all the hats that I wear. Mm-hmm. I have learned how to let go of control, and let me tell you, being a type A personality who likes to get, shit done, it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard letting things go, but ultimately You can't control anybody else but yourself. And so what I want you to focus on is I want you to focus on controlling you, because you're the only person who allows other people in. So if somebody is hurting you, if somebody is causing you anxiety or stress or whatever sort of emotion you're feeling, you allow that. Nobody else does. You can't blame that on somebody else. You can't blame it on the fact that they got mad. You chose to react a certain way. You chose to either not take action or take action, whatever that looked like. But automatically, you took the choice. And so the universe, this is a big one too. The universe is never working against you. It is always working for you. And you can either be stuck in this victim mentality, or you can be in the mentality of self-compassion and knowing and honoring the fact that you're human and leaning in towards those emotions and feeling them and knowing why you're feeling that emotion, because that's important. There were so many times, as a society teaches us to suppress our emotions so much. We are taught that we shouldn't speak our mind, that, oh, maybe you're saying too much. I don't think you should say that. I think you might have swore too much. Oh, nope, don't do that. You use your hands too much. You do this too much. Society teaches us that we should fit in this box. We don't fit in a freaking box because A, she's completely different than me, which you're probably seeing through this video as well. Just the way that we speak, the way that we, sit, how tall we are, we're completely different. We're not the same people, even though we share DNA. But as a human, you're 100% unique. That even counts for if you're a twin, just so you know. And so what I want you to do, so like I said, instead of you focusing on all the things you can't control, I want you to focus on what you can control. Now I want to talk about a little bit of why I'm talking about control. So myself as an entrepreneur, learning how to collaborate, how to let go of what, I've always been doing, which might not necessarily have always been working for me. Learning different and new ways. I love to learn, but I love to be in control. I love to be the person who says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. We're going to do all the things. And I want to do this. And let's type this. And you're going to do this. And I guess it's like this boss in me, which is why I'm an entrepreneur. But when you're collaborating with somebody, and I've learned so much, not only about myself, but also about my relationship with my mother, but also as a relationship with her as a business partner, because I've learned to speak my mind, but in a kind manner. Where, because she's my mom, originally I was like, excuse me, this is not the way it's going to work. And I was not very nice about it. But this is me being vulnerable and open with you guys, that my mom had to say, okay, that's not the way that I was saying it. And this is where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a space of love and nourishment. And I want you to learn that there is not just one way to do things. There could be 10 ways to do things, but you're so focused on one. That was because I was so focused on the outcome. And I was focused on controlling this outcome. And like I said earlier, I can't control what anybody else does but myself. And I had the time, I remember I was sitting there and I was messaging her, and I was just like, no, I don't want it this way. No. And then she's like, I just need you to trust me. Like, I'm not going to do anything wrong. And then literally we were in the middle of this conversation probably for about 45 minutes. And I was like, okay, fine. This is me trusting and surrendering. Go. I love you. Okay. You can do all the things. And I think she probably looked at her phone and said, what? Like, what? And then she was like, well, it's okay. I need your opinion. I said, no, this is me trusting. This is me letting go. I'm literally being like, okay, you can do it. And I had to do that. I had to completely let go and trust, because she did still listen. She still listened to what I wanted as a vision. It was still put in there, but it was a great mixture of the two of us. And I just needed to pull back because it came together nicely. But through this, you guys, and I talk about this, and I've talked about this in a video before, is that we are tested in what we are teaching you. Mm-hmm. I'm human. So I've also, there's people who say, well, if I come on here and I teach things and I'm going through things and I'm a fraud. No, you're not. You're freaking human. Like, stop saying that you can't be an expert in a field because you're human. Like, if I literally thought that, then I wouldn't be on here talking to you and sharing this story with you. I learned from something, therefore I get to share that with you. And that was a huge thing of self-compassion and letting go. And honestly, it feels damn good to let go. It really does. Now I'm going to go on to point number 2 because I could get really deep on that. There's a few other things that I could talk about in regards to control. But this past year of my life, I've truly dived into this letting go. Some things in my life I still like to cling on to, but don't we all? But this is a learning experience. Excuse me. Number 2. So the second tip that I have for you, which is huge, which also comes with self-compassion, is celebration. And you were talking about this earlier in regards to the things that we have forgotten to celebrate. And so celebration, I want you to give yourself credit. I want you to acknowledge your efforts and wins. I want to know why, as a society, or even the women that are on this right now, why we feel so accustomed to keeping our achievements a secret. They're achievements for a reason. And you should be standing on the top of a rooftop and going, hell yeah, I just did this. I just received 3 coaching certificates in the mail today. And yeah, I'm freaking excited about that. And I'm happy about that. Have I shared it completely? No, I will be sharing it completely, but I was waiting to receive it and to have it in my hands so I could say, here, I did this. I'm happy I did this. I spent the time because I love what the hell I'm doing. And there's no reason why I can't come on here and be like, look what I did. I took the time to do this. This is awesome. I am awesome. We are allowed to say those things about ourselves. That doesn't mean that we're not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not naive. There's a word like if people are like complimenting themselves, people get that mixed up. But I can't think of the word right
bragging.
now. Well, bragging, but there's another. Okay, I'm not bragging. We can just use the word bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm happy. I'm telling the world that I've accomplished something that I worked hard at, that I'm going to be able to implement with my clients in my programs, because I take this seriously, because I love what I'm doing. So I should be able to celebrate the crap out of that and share that with the people that love and encourage me, and even my clients, with what I'm doing. So it's important to acknowledge what you're doing. Now, it also actually puts you on a higher vibration if you give yourself a little bit of kudos for what you're doing. And so I want you to think for a moment. Did you ever have a dream when you were younger, when you were a child, or when you're a teen, to either start a family, start a business, get married, have a really strong relationship, huge communication goals, wanting to travel the world more? Like, there's tons of ways we could go with this, but was there ever a dream that you had? Now I want to ask you, did you accomplish any of those things? And did you celebrate it? And I'm asking you this because when I started working with one of my coaches, she asked me about all the things that I dreamed of when I was a child. And I said, oh, well, I dreamed of this and this and this. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a wife. I wanted to have a loving husband, a beautiful home. I wanted an incredible relationship with my family. I wanted to have, a solid foundation of people that I trusted. And she looked at me and she said, do you have that? Did you do that? And I didn't even celebrate the fact that I have a beautiful home, that I'm married to an amazing man that absolutely loves me, that I have such a solid relationship with my family, with my mom. As you can see, I'm working with my mom. I get to actually, because I had a child, I get to visually see how my father was with me as a child. And that is super heartwarming. And I didn't celebrate that until somebody asked me. And those were huge goals of mine. And so it's important that if you think of something that you've accomplished in your life, whether it was to have a family or to have a house, and you didn't celebrate that, you need to celebrate that now. I don't care if it was 10 years down the road or 5 years down the road that happened. Celebrate it and anchor that shit in, because it's important to celebrate your accomplishments, small, big, medium, large, don't care what you call it. Celebration is a celebration. And it's this big thing people are talking about lately because it's important, and it puts you once again at a higher vibration, and that's what you attract in. Don't you want to celebrate yourself? I'm sorry, but I do. Like, I do. And there's nothing wrong with celebrating yourself. There is nothing wrong with acknowledging yourself. There is nothing wrong with acknowledging all of your accomplishments. In fact, it should happen. So please, 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 please celebrate the crap out of yourself. Oh. And so number 3 is, you know how you were talking about, so these, they don't contradict each other, but they're 2 different ways of seeing it. So when Gina was talking about, like, maybe you need that outside perspective and you need to dive into social media and you need to actually take like this look at what people are doing, like this different perspective.
Or evidence of what's possible.
Yeah. And so that is extremely important. And some days we do need to get into that. And then she mentioned, you know, but be careful because you could get into this comparison trap. So now this is where I kind of touch on this lightly because we really dive deeper, like Gina was saying in the program, what would courage do about the comparison trap. But you guys, sometimes for our own self-compassion, to give ourselves a little bit of a break, sometimes we need to take a little bit of a break from social media and we need to put those blinders on and we need to focus on what we are doing.
Yeah.
I have been there. I have been the woman who has followed a ton of coaches and loved what they were doing, but then started doubting what I was capable of doing because I was comparing myself to them. Why would you compare your chapter to anybody else's chapter? You know, I always have to ask myself this. If I ever get caught comparing myself and being like, oh, why am I not there? Why am I not doing the things? Hey, happened this morning where I was just like, I want to be at a certain spot and I'm human and I got frustrated. And Gina was there and she was like, okay, talk me through this. Talk me through what you're feeling at the moment so we can get clear on this. And it helped, extremely helped, because sometimes we can just get caught in this lovely, you know, constant conversation that is on a loop inside our mind. Because if you're sitting there and I'm like, do you have a voice inside your head? And you go, and your head goes, yeah, that's the voice I'm talking about. We do. And it's on this constant loop. And it's the one that can talk us out of the most incredible things of our lives. And it's our own, just so you know. And so sometimes we have to take a break. And that's okay. But sometimes you also have to lean in. And that is also okay. But these are tips that we have for you guys. You just have to acknowledge that. So like Gina was saying, that if you're taking in all this information, then all of a sudden you start doubting your capabilities, put your blinders on. That's okay. You will get out of that state. And it's okay to feel that emotion and be like, okay, I'm feeling this way because of this, this, and this. Do I want to accomplish this, this, and this? This makes sense while I'm feeling this way. Like, check in with yourself, like she was saying as well. Make sure that you're being accountable for yourself and knowing why you feel the way you feel.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Right?
And so,
yeah.
Number 4 is self-care. I'm going to ask you, do you guys have a self-care practice? I did a training on this too, about how self-care is huge. It is so important to prioritize yourself every single day. Now, I'm also going to tell you this because if you look at me and you comment on here and you say you don't have time, so you guys, I'm an entrepreneur. I run a full-time daycare. I am a mother. I'm a stepmother. I have 3 children and I'm pregnant. I have a little one on the way. I'm collaborating and I'm creating some incredible programs. I have signature programs. I have coaching programs. I just became a self-published author. I take time for myself every single day, even with all of the things that I'm doing every single day. If that means I go to bed after this and I lay in my bed and watch Netflix for an hour because that's what lights me up and makes me feel good, then that's what I'm going to do. If that means having an amazing bubble bath, that's what I'm going to do. I've also started prioritizing fitness, so like exercising. So I go for walks. I usually try to go for a walk every single day. We went for one today because I want to be healthier for this pregnancy, for this baby, for myself. You can do the things, and we went for a walk with 4 kids. It is all possible if you just take the action and do it. Don't make excuses. You're the only person who stops yourself from doing the things that you want to do, and you're the only person who stands in your way. You can't blame anybody else for why you're not where you are. You can't. It's you. And we have to take radical responsibility for ourselves and for our actions and for where we are. Because if you want to be somewhere else, then guess what? You have the choice to get there. You have the choice to be there. You have the choice to take the action to get there and to do the things that require you to get to this next level. You have the choice. And so I'm going to leave you with two other points, and then I'm done because I'm getting really, really hyped up about this. I'm like, And so
That's why I used that image
Yeah.
in our description of this. I'm always using that image. Yeah.
And so self-compassion, you guys. So I found this, and it's like a definition of self-compassion. And it's the practice of extending the same kindness, understanding, and support that you would give that we would give a loved one to yourself, especially when faced with personal shortcomings, failures, and difficult times. I feel like people at the end of this should pause this and go back and rewrite that and put that on your fridge. Really, because just think about that. Everything I just talked about, that quote describes. And now I want you to forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before. Because now you know certain things that you can take action towards. And we've told you that if you actually take action towards what we have talked to you about, you will see some massive positive changes in your life. And last but not least, your mindset is such a powerful tool, and I've talked about this many, many times, but compassion plays a major role too. So that's what I have for you guys tonight.
Yeah, so I think the only thing left is to really let you guys know a little bit more about the What Would Courage Do program. Super excited about that. As an entrepreneur, I know that it's really easy to get swept away in the excitement of just entrepreneurship in general. All the things, right? The life-changing products that you're going to launch and programs that you'll run. You've done the math, you've pulled out the calculator, and the numbers look really great. You've set the dates.
Do you know how many times I've done
We've all done it. We've all done it, right? Everything looks great, well, at least on paper. Ouch, right? So setting goals and creating a strategy around what you want to plan to do is awesome. Everyone needs to do that. Well, entrepreneurs, we need to do that, right? But what will you actually do? That's the question we have for you tonight. What will you actually do, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're in your own way, like we've been talking about. Good intentions, well-laid plans, they're not foolproof, especially when there are so many things that could go wrong or get in the way, especially comparison, doubts, fears, and all the tears that follow. And the secret, which is actually not so secret, is the biggest barrier that you will face is often yourself. And we know how exhausting and annoying, especially for a high achiever or someone who's ambitiously impatient, I like to call it, how annoying it can be to move through dry spells, dead zones, and seasons of self-doubt. And our guess is that you can relate. You're thinking, We have personally dropped balls. Well, I can only speak for myself. I have personally dropped balls, held myself back, compared myself to others, made excuses, judged myself harshly, and I've stayed hidden because of it in many ways. There are things on my goal list that I haven't even started to tackle them because of all the things that we're talking about tonight, because of myself, nothing else. And what about you? What is the lack of courage costing you? Feel free to pop this in the comments, whether you're watching the replay, but feel free to pop that in the comments. What is the lack of courage costing you? There is always a cost to not being, that question that we have, if you go to whatwouldcouragedo.com, at the very top, the question we ask is, are you brave enough to achieve your goals? We know you're smart. We know that you're a go-getter, but are you brave enough to achieve your goals? And not just your goals, but your goals, like those ones that you are obsessing about that you probably haven't even begun to bring forward because they're so scary. They're so big and they're so scary. You deserve to bring those to life. And when you work with us inside of What Would Courage Do, you'll gain the advantage of what we're calling a courageous toolkit. These are 10 very provocative lessons, really like straight to the heart of what you need to hear, and the rawness of it, to help you navigate those true desires, those ones that you're obsessing about, that just keep you up at night, that are just sitting in your back pocket waiting for the stars to align or some magical moment that only you can create for yourself. But these lessons will help you to build bravery and stay out of your own way, because like I said, when you have all of these things working in your favor, it is like you have a North Star. You can end up anywhere. You can be plunked out in the desert and you find that North Star, which is right here, and you will find your way home. You will find your way to the success that you desire. So if you have a bold goal in mind, but you're afraid of failing, this is for you. If you want to make some changes, but you keep stalling out, this is for you. If you are hesitating to put those big ideas out there, but fill in your limiting belief or beliefs, plural, fill in whatever it is that's going on for you, this is for you, right? So if you take anything away from tonight's masterclass, let it be that success does not have to be a struggle. You do have choices, and you do have ways to get out of your own way. You do have ways to create a more straight and narrow. We all know that being an entrepreneur is like, it's craziness. But if you are in your own way, it is 10 times more crazy. It is 10 times, it will take you longer to get where you want to go. What would courage do? Will shore up self-trust, belief, and courage so that you can achieve your goals. I like to say freaky fast. Freaky fast, because if you are ambitiously impatient, like I tend to be, it's never fast enough, let me tell you. And if I'm in my own way, it's so annoying. Imagine having undeniable certainty, that unshakable certainty and conviction in your ability to achieve your goals. That is what we want for you. That's why we created the program. So right now, when you register before the 1st of April, so by the end of this month, you save $100. The program is $177, regular $277. We do have payment plans. You just have to message us, let us know that you want to create something like that. And if you're one of the next 2 women to register, I think it was a week or so ago, we had announced that we were going to be giving a small number of what we call brew sessions. We are coffee lovers, but brew, just the name, like the word brew means to bring about, to create something. And so a brew session is a 2-on-1 coaching session. So that would be with Kara and myself to help you address that annoying thing that's in your way, the most annoying thing that is currently in your way that you need to navigate about, like over, around, under, whatever it is, right? We'll help you gain clarity around it. We'll help you make a confident decision about it, discover it, create it, plan it, whatever it is that needs to happen so that you can get on with doing it. So that is for the next 2 women who register for the program. We're going to give a brew session. So that's what we have. Again, the sales page for that, or the invitation page, I like to call it, is whatwoodcouragedo.com. You can read about more about the program, who it's for, what's included, and you can, of course, register right through that page.
Well, I'll make sure to add the links here shortly after. I'll take a peek here after, once this is all wrapped up and done. But I just want to add one other thing too that we were discussing was, if you have a dream, a goal, or an aspiration that has been placed in your heart, and I said this before, why do you think that you're not worthy enough to achieve that? Now, I think I was talking about this before as well, if you look at someone that you aspire to, if like someone you look up to and they've achieved a certain goal that you just know in your heart that you want, or is weighed on you, but then you say, why, I can't do that. If it's on your heart, it's there for a reason, and you're meant to have it. It's meant to be yours. You just have to step into courage, step into bravery, and really, do the damn thing and do what it takes to get there. Yeah. So this is what we're going to teach you how to do. And so we're excited to share and open this space with you. We thank you all for spending your time with us this evening. Thanks to everybody that joined. We respect your time. We honor you. We thank you. And I honestly can't wait to start this program with all the women that will be joining. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be great. So on that note, you guys, thank you so much again. And both Gina and I we'll catch you on the flip side.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.